Was Dragon Ball Super worth it? Let's talk about it. So Dragon Ball Super was the long-awaited continuation of the Dragon Ball franchise, or not a continuation, but an interquel, as it takes place between the Buu Saga and the end of Dragon Ball Z. It has lasted 131 episodes and rejuvenated the entire Dragon Ball fandom. But was it worth it? Was all of this, the new transformations, the new characters, the new universes, etc.? Or should Dragon Ball have just stayed put for a while? Many people in the fandom will say Super wasn't necessary, provides even further plot holes, and was not created in a consistent manner. They say Super is the worst iteration of the franchise and should not be considered canon. They hate Super Saiyan Blue, as it's only a color palette change of regular Super Saiyan, and many hated the insane amount of power that the Super characters had reached. Other people in the fandom believe Super to be the best of the best, the greatest storytelling. They love the godly powers our characters have reached, and pretty much defend everything about the show. And then there's people, like me, that are in the middle. Now I do lean more towards me liking the show and thinking the Super is good, but still, I'm more in the middle. There are many things I like about the show, and some things I just don't like, and some things I actually hate. But no matter what side I'm on, I'm going to answer this question in terms of my opinion of, was Dragon Ball Super worth it? And obviously this is going to be just talking about the fandom. Obviously it was worth it for Toei Animation and Shueisha for all the money that was brought in from the show. That's just a no-brainer. So first off, when Super came out, I wasn't too excited. I even waited for over a year after it came out to even watch the first episode because I knew that the first two sagas would be covering the rehashing of the movies. This is something that I just was not interested in and didn't want to see all over again because I watched the movies a lot and just didn't want to see episodes dragged on for that. And then when I finally got into Super, I watched the first episode and thought it was really boring. Watched the second episode, thought it was even worse, and then I just kind of stopped because not only was the first two episodes bad, but I didn't really want to watch it with Japanese subtitles or English subtitles at the time. At the time that was something that I didn't really want, but actually now I actually usually prefer watching subtitles for some reason. I don't know why, it just feels more authentic. Now, I waited a few more months after the show came out to finally start watching it, and then I just loved it and I binged through like 80 episodes in like a week and a half. Now, before I get into my summarized review of the show, I need to say that Super is not something that I wanted at the time. I would have been fine with an actual interquel had it actually kept GT as the actual continuation of the franchise. I didn't want a retcon, or I didn't want GT to be just a side story. I wanted GT to stay, as that's what I really like. And so while I thought that the Battle of Gods and Revival F movies were great when they first came out, I didn't like that they were actually canon, because by the time RF was out, I knew that GT could not have been a thing anymore, with Beerus, Whis, Golden Frieza, Super Saiyan Blue. But with me actually liking the story of Super more than GT eventually, I ended up being fine with it after I'd watched the Future Trunks saga featuring Goku Black. It was at that point that I was glad that Super was ushered in as the new canon. It took a while for me to be pretty much approved of it, and for my actual review, so if the first two sagas were removed, which is sometimes how I look at Super because I don't see the first two sagas as Super, sometimes I see it as Dragon Ball Z because that's what Battle of the Gods and Revival F movies were. So if you take those out, I'd give Super a 9 out of 10 overall. If it's included, I'd give Super as an 8 out of 10 for me. So still a very good show, just not what I was completely hoping for. And now that I gave some kind of what I think about the show, I'll give I'm going to talk about the outcomes, what we got from the show. So, the first and most expansive was the 11 new universes and potentially even more, depending on the technicality of the final wish of the Tournament of Power. We could have 17 other universes, but we don't 100% know just because the wish was worded pretty weird. Dragon Ball Super made the Dragon Ball universes far bigger than ever. It brought us a whole new pantheon of deities, like the gods of destruction, the angels, and it showed us that the Supreme Kais were actually the gods of creation. And then we also got to see the top dogs of the Grand Priest and the Omni King, otherwise known as Zeno. With these new gods, we were also introduced to new godlike powers, as in God Ki, and the new Super Saiyan God transformation, the Super Saiyan God ritual, and Super Saiyan Blue, or Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. Finally, the godly form Ultra Instinct, which Goku had used in 2 forms or levels, Ultra Instinct Omen and Mastered Ultra Instinct. These new gods also led us to the Ultimate Martial Arts Tournament, the Tournament of Power, which had the most on the line ever. If you didn't win, not only were you killed or your planet destroyed, it was everything. Hell, Otherworld, all the innocent civilians. Not were they not killed, they were erased, so no, people just didn't get killed and go to heaven or hell, just completely erased. They did not exist anymore. The stakes were never this high for previous Dragon Ball, and it was amazing for Super to get that high stakes. Also, we got the amazing return of future Trunks, who became a great mystery after we saw him leave the Cell Saga. Knowing what happened with Trunks after was amazing, and it's something that I had wanted to know for a long time. And so, with the outcomes, we got Goku surpassing the gods, we got Vegeta becoming near a God Destruction level, we got Universe 7 winning the Tournament of Power, and we even have an outcome of Frieza becoming more of a good guy, which is something that's really crazy, something I used to hate at first, but it's something that I could really see to improve upon his character. Now, I don't want Frieza to become a good guy in the long run. If he became a good guy in the short run, used this to his advantage and became evil again, that would make his character even better. So, it'd be cool if he became a good guy for a little bit, just to be even more evil in the future. So now next, and this is something that I think is very important when it comes to was Super worth it, and that is the future possibilities. So it seems to me that the future possibilities of Dragon Ball as a franchise were kind of limited because of the ending of the Tournament of Power. So it started great by introducing all these universes, and they really expanded it, made the possibilities almost limitless, and now with the fact that how they ended the show, it kind of limited the actual outcomes. At least from my opinion, they limited it to make it so that they could still do stuff, it just wouldn't be as entertaining for me. And I'm gonna get into that. So, Jiren was said to be potentially surpassing the Gods of Destruction in power, and he was defeated by Ultra Instinct Goku. That kind of rules out any future villains being Gods of Destruction themselves, or Gods of Destruction level fighters, as Goku in the future would be stronger than he is now and would be able to easily defeat them. And with the way the Super ended, it somewhat actually limits the future of the series. If a villain comes by and they're stronger than Goku or as strong as Goku, how is that going to make sense? It's so extremely rare. Goku had to use a Super Saiyan God ritual, train with Whis for years, and by the time of the Tournament of Power, he still wasn't close to God Destruction. He had to break his limits several times, get Mastered Ultra Instinct to surpass Jiren, who was stronger than a God of Destruction. It took so long, so how are they going to explain some villain getting this strong? Now, of course, it's possible, since if Jiren and Goku can do it, and there's 11 other or 10 other universes besides their universes, then sure, it can happen, but I don't really want that. I feel like these characters have reached these upper echelons of power that I do not want them to go past that yet. Now, if people say, when I talk about my issues with Power and Super, oh, well, Marvel's way stronger. Okay, that's Marvel's way stronger, but that doesn't mean it's good. Now, for the most part, the new power gained in Super was really good, but I don't like them reaching the actual Gods of Destruction yet. I think that would have been better to be saved for later, because I don't think it's going to really make sense if a villain comes by and he's stronger than a God of Destruction, unless he himself is a god, or a Makaiishin, a demon god, something like that. I don't really see something that is going to interest me, but, you know, I could be wrong. That leads into what else they could do when it comes to villains, and that is bringing in something like magic, or reality warping, something that Goku would not really be attuned to when fighting a villain, something he would have to overcome in a completely different way. And also maybe something that'd be similar to like Lavenda's poison, where somebody has this poison attack, it poisons somebody, it blinds them, they can't sense ki, and it slowly weakens them over time. That could also be tie into the actual magician, like an evil magician or something like that, where they're not too strong, but their magic powers puts them at a level of Goku. That'd be something I'd find really cool. It's really interesting to see a different kind of villain that we have not seen before. So, my final thoughts, was Super worth it? Yes. Now, I know a lot of people will think this video is meaningless. Of course Super is worth it, Broku. But I do think you guys are underestimating how many old fans of the franchise actually dislike this show. Now, they are the minority, of course, but still. And even then, you can like this show and still think it's not worth it. I know several people who like this show, but didn't think it was executed well, and really limits the possibilities of the future of the franchise. But still, I think it's worth it. And I thought it was a pretty entertaining show. And again, guys, these are my personal thoughts. Super provided us with some new adventures for our heroes and many new characters to meet. Beerus is one of the greatest things that has ever happened in the series, and the new universe has expanded the franchise in a way I never imagined, and hopefully a new type of villain will come from one of these new universes. Overall, it kept me entertained most Saturdays and brought back the community as a whole, and also introduced many new people to the series. I have several friends who didn't watch Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball GT, but watched Super and wanted to go back and watch the other shows, as Super introduced them into the fandom. But anyways guys, what are your thoughts below? Was Dragon Ball Super worth it, or was it not? Please do let me know, write that out in the comments, and also guys, please do leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you are new, turn on notifications if you want to see my videos right away. Also, join my Discord and follow me on Twitter. Appreciate it guys, and thanks to all of my Patreon supporters. So my Super Saiyans is Hodag Hunter, and my Super Saiyan 2s, Darius, Israel Flores, Locke, Anime Paradox, and Mystic Ghoul. And also thanks to my Super Saiyan 3s, Scotland Serenity, Daraj Payton, Sin Overlord, and Griffin Jacob. And thanks to my new Super Saiyan, Danielle Toro, my new Super Saiyan 3, Dante's Ware. Thank you guys so much for all the support. It really does mean a lot, and I hope you guys all have an amazing day.